Greetings, class. Does anyone in your family abuse drugs? Is IV drug abuse a complication as well? Chances are that in today's society, that somebody in your family abuses drugs and possibly uses drugs via IV. Today I want to try and persuade you to support needle exchange programs. In an effort to gain your support for these programs, I want to offer a little biological science behind addiction, some of the negative consequences that leads to needle use and abuse, as well as some of the benefits of needle exchange programs. So let us look at the biology behind drug abuse and addiction. A large component of drug abuse and addiction is the abuse of the dopamine neuroreceptor in the brain. The drugs that cause addiction cause large dumps of dopamine into the brain. The Harvard Health Publishing stated in their July 2011 article titled How Addiction Hijacks the Brain. In the brain, the pleasure has a distinct signature. The release of neurotransmitter dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, a cluster of nerve cells lying beneath the cerebral cortex. The dopamine release in the nucleus accumbens is so consistently tied with pleasure that neuroscientists refer to the region as the brain's pleasure center. That's important. The article also went on to say addictive drugs provide a shortcut to the brain's reward system by flooding the nucleus accumbens with dopamine. And why is that important? Well, drugs literally give us pleasure at the most biological chemical level of the brain. Our brain adapts by reducing the number of dopamine receptors in the brain so that it takes a stronger and stronger amount of drug to get the same pleasure. This is what leads to IV drug abuse. It's the fastest route for a drug abuser to receive the drug to get the dopamine release that they require. So this is not just a moral choice on the behalf of addicted people, but a biological change in their own brain. Now, this IV drug abuse leads to several complications. One of the most serious is the acquisition of HIV. HIV.org states on their website that your risk is high for getting or transmitting HIV and hepatitis B and C if you share needles and equipment used to prepare drugs like cotton cookers and water. This is because the needle or works may have blood in them and carry HIV. So this is why needle exchange programs are important. These IV drug abusers must obtain, which is difficult, syringes and needles. So when they can't find sterile needles and syringes, they reuse them and abuse them and share them with other IV drug abusers. And that's how the transmission of HIV happens. Now, there's an increased risk inherently to sharing needles with other IV drug abusers. The CDC quantified this risk, stating on their website it is estimated that in 2013, 3,096 of the estimated 47,352 diagnoses of HIV in the United States were attributed to IV drug use. And that's approximately 9%. So there's a quantifiable, data point that indicates IV drug abuse leads to HIV. Now, HIV is a very expensive drug to treat. It costs over the lifetime of a drug abuser quite a bit of money. The CDC noted on their website the lifetime cost of HIV treatment is estimated to be $379,000 $668 in 2010 dollars. That's very expensive. So what can we do about this? Needle exchange programs, what are the benefits? Well, it reduces the occurrence of HIV infections. Dr. Vlahov, a professor of epidemiology and medicine at Johns Hopkins School, and Mr. Jung, a senior research coordinator with the Department of Epidemiology at Johns Hopkins School of Hygiene and Public Health, report in their 1998 article, The Role of Needle Exchange Programs in HIV Prevention. Quote, incidence of HIV infection among needle exchange participants was estimated to have decreased by 33% of needle exchange programs. So there we have a quantifiable 33% decrease in new occurrences of HIV infections from needle exchange programs. So what's another benefit? Well, a reduction of cost. Prevention is always less expensive than treatment. According to the University of California at San Francisco in their needle exchange program analysis, they state mathematical models based on data predict that needle exchanges could prevent HIV infections among clients, their sex partners, and offspring at a cost of about $9,400 per infection averted. So $9,400 to avert an infection versus approximately $379,000 to treat over the lifetime of a person infected with HIV. So in summary, let's recap. I've discussed the biology behind addiction at a neurotransmitter level in the brain. Basically said that it's not a moral choice but a medical condition. We've also recapped some of the risk associated with drug use, IV drug abuse, and associated with HIV infections, as well as covered some of the benefits of needle exchange programs. So in conclusion, I hope that after all of this information, we can look past the societal stigmas, look at the moral component of helping these individuals overcome their disease, and even look at some of the infection risk as well as cost-benefit analysis, and conclude that needle exchange programs need to be supported with legislation and funding. Thank you.